Peter Falconio was a British tourist who was murdered on a deserted highway near Barrow Creek in Australia's Northern Territory. His girlfriend and travelling partner, Joanne Lees, survived and told a story of a terrifying ordeal. With memories still fresh of the notorious backpacker murders in Australia between 1989 and 1993, the case quickly received national and worldwide attention. Peter Falconio's body has never been found. The tourist couple had met in 1996 in a nightclub in West Yorkshire, England, and began living together the next year, while Falconio was studying at Brighton University. In 2000, they decided to travel the world, taking in Nepal, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, and finally, Australia. Their families had been concerned about the last leg of the trip. Australia had recently received negative press around the backpacker murders. Falconio and Lees arrived in Sydney in mid-January 2001. After a period of several months working, by late June they embarked on a road trip that planned to take in Canberra, Melbourne, Adelaide, Darwin, and Brisbane. By the night of Saturday, the 15th of July 2001, the pair were on the Stuart Highway, headed for the Devil's Marbles, a site of cultural and spiritual significance to the Aboriginal population on the Northern Territories leg of the trip to Darwin. Around 7:30 that night, they became aware of a vehicle that had been behind them since they left a roadhouse at Barrow Creek. As the following car pulled up, a white Toyota four-wheel drive with a green canopy, they expected it to overtake. However, the driver of the car began gesticulating that something was wrong with the backpacker's vehicle. Both cars pulled up, with the Toyota in front, and Falconio got out to talk to its driver, who told him that he had seen sparks coming out of their vehicle. The two men went to the back of Falconio's car, a Volkswagen Combi, to investigate, while Lees climbed into the driver's seat to rev the engine if necessary. Without warning, there was a loud bang from the rear of the vehicle, and the driver of the Toyota appeared at the driver's side window, brandishing a silver handgun. Climbing into the Volkswagen, the gunman secured Lee's hands behind her back with cable ties, but she fought back when the attacker tried to tie her feet and gag her mouth. She was then dragged to the assailant's car. The attacker went back to the Volkswagen, apparently to move Falconio's body from the road. Lees, fearing rape and murder, seized her chance, running in terror into the desolate, darkened bush. She then recounted a terrifying ordeal as the attacker searched the bush areas while she desperately tried to keep quiet. He passed close by on a number of occasions without seeing her in the darkness and finally gave up, heading back to his car and driving off into the night. At around 12:35 a.m., Lees was able to flag down a trucker, and by 1:30 a.m., police in Alice Springs had been alerted to the crime. Because of the vast distances involved, they weren't on the scene until around 4:20 a.m. and began taking statements before commencing a search for criminal and victim at first light. A dirt-covered pool of blood was located, and the backpacker's Combi was found parked 80 meters into the scrub. No more significant evidence was found, either of the crime or the whereabouts of Falconio, by either the police or Aboriginal trackers. With the backpacker murders still fresh in the public mind, the media dived into the case with both feet. The lack of evidence indicating an assailant, inconsistencies in some of Joanne Lee's statements, and her generally unruffled demeanour led less scrupulous sections of the press to formulate the hypothesis that she may have been responsible and that the attacker didn't exist. She certainly didn't help her image by doing an interview with Martin Bashir, for which she was paid £50,000. Fortunately for her, unidentified male DNA was found on her t-shirt, the cable ties, and the combi gear stick. CCTV footage of a man matching Lee's description at the right time and in the right area to have committed the crime also helped put her in the clear. When that man ignored police urgings to come forward and eliminate himself, investigators set about identifying all owners of 1991 to 99 Toyota Land Cruisers and offered a $250,000 reward for information leading to a conviction. Bradley John Murdoch was one of the men interviewed by police, though his failure to resemble Lee's description of the attacker sidelined him in investigators' minds. Then, a criminal partner in Murdoch's drug-running enterprise was lifted on the 17th of May 2002 and began talking about Murdoch's links to the case. A DNA test on Murdoch's brother connected him to the unidentified male DNA at the crime scene. As police closed in, Murdoch fled, but was arrested on the 22nd of August 2002 on an unrelated kidnap charge in South Australia. Eventually extradited to the Northern Territories, Murdoch's trial began on the 17th of October 2005. Such was the media interest that the courtroom had to be renovated to accommodate the huge number of journalists, at a cost of $900,000. Murdoch pleaded not guilty, but Lees identified him from police photographs, and in court, in person. Her story was challenged by the defence, since only her footprints were found in the bush. Enhancement of the CCTV footage, backed by expert testimony, seemed to identify Murdoch, though this was challenged by his defence. Yet it would be the DNA evidence that was inarguable. The defence made a lame argument about accidental blood transfer at a Red Rooster restaurant where all parties had apparently stopped that night. The defence further countered that Falconio had been seen by witnesses at a petrol station a week after his proposed death. The quality of witness statements to that effect varied so widely as to make them useless. The jury found Bradley Murdoch guilty by unanimous decision, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 28 years. His appeals were dismissed, and all avenues are now exhausted. Despite media speculation that he would reveal the location of Falconio's body, in return for better prison conditions, no such revelation has been forthcoming. The Australian Outback is beautiful and dangerous in equal measure, and it's the oldest trick in the book, pretending that someone's car is damaged in order to get them to stop. On dark and deserted roads in the vastness of the Outback, it is perhaps safer to be cautious about stopping, and perhaps safest of all, to keep on driving, no matter what.